What's up, heroes? Welcome to Small Time World. I'm your girl, Small Time Hero. Let's talk The Boys, Season 5, Episode 6, Though the Heavens Fall. So, in this episode, we actually open up with The Legend. The Legend is a character who does get mentioned before in the series, but we actually don't get to see him that often. But one thing we do know about the Legend is that he knows everything about everybody's sex life. He was like a hero celebrity liaison. He took care of the heroes. He made sure that everybody got where they needed to go. He knows a lot about these heroes and what they have actually done. So we find out that he does have a lot of dirt on Vought. We actually find out that he is working at Vought Cinema. That is the job that he is actually getting ready to go to. And it's kind of funny that he chose to like hide out at a Vought Cinema. I know everybody had to get the fuck on when Homelander did whatever he did because nobody wanted to go to internment camps. And honestly, the Legend was quicker than everybody else because we saw most of the boys get rounded up. So the Legend was actually quicker, but he made this decision why. We actually see MM come up to the counter after the Legend yells at a young man about getting soda in a water cup, which is some old man ass shit. MM comes up and MM actually has the same questions that we do for Legend, like why did you decide to work at a Vault Cinema, and also Chet Vanderbilt. Okay, Legend, if that's what you want to be called, I'll call you that. Anyway, he says that he couldn't leave showbiz, which I feel like is the fall of him. But he does say that he couldn't leave showbiz, and that is why he chose to work at a Vault Cinema. After he actually tells MM that is why he chose to work at a Vault Cinema, they actually go into a theater. And we see Firecracker as the ad of the theater, which is so funny because bye, bitch. I don't dislike Firecracker as much as I dislike Stormfront. Like everything with Firecracker was more so like, oh, that's fucked up. She did that to Annie. But at the end of the day, like the Stormfront shit was a little bit personal. Like this Nazi ass bitch. But like with Firecracker, it was more like, she did this shit to Annie. So it's kind of like, it's an Annie thing. But yeah, man, bye, bitch. MM and Legend actually talk, and MM tries to get Legend to come work with him. MM threatens Legend. Legend makes a remark that MM is starting to act a lot like Butcher, which we have actually seen in his decline, and we know why he is acting this way because we know that he has something to do at the very end of this. And if he actually cares, or if he becomes more of a caring person, he won't be able to carry this out. So MM explains to the Legend why they actually need to find the V1. Legend says that he thought all the V1 was gotten rid of, but MM kind of gives Legend a look like, is anything in this universe ever truly gotten rid of? And it's actually kind of funny, but also they talk about, the necessity and the need. We actually go to Vault Tower where we find out that this is the 35th trial of them trying to discover V1. We did find out that Homelander was putting all of the scientists at Vault on actually replicating the V1 formula. But we also find out that he's actually assigned Sage to come up with the formula also. As they go into the trial, we find out that it is actually not working. The patient is coming out of both ends, honestly, and it's quite nasty, to be quite honest. The Deep walks up, and the Deep is actually looking for Firecracker. We find, well, the Deep finds out that Firecracker is no longer with us, as Homelander says, which is really, really funny, but at the same time, you murdered that girl. Sick fuck. But yeah, so Homelander tells the Deep that she is no longer with us, and we kind of move on past that. Sage actually has a conversation with the Deep about a pipeline that is supposed to be put on the coast of Alaska, and the United States needs the oil in order to, do all the things that the United States needs to do with oil, which is probably fucking nothing. Anyway, so she says that they do need the oil and that he should shoot a PSA telling everyone that it's fine, that the fish love oil, and that what they're doing is safe and, helpful to the environment. In which he actually responds that fish actually hate the oil, which, duh, motherfucker. Like, I don't know. It's so funny because he actually said that to her, and it's just like, do you really think that she thinks that fish like oil? Okay, so all right, cool, the Deep. Anyway, so yeah, and she's like, you're gonna tell everybody that they fucking do. who's more important, these fish or this fucking Homelander? And he's like, Homelander like a shriveling little bitch. Like, the deep is terrible. He is fucking. We find out that the trial is going absolutely wrong and the man is bleeding out of his anus. It is actually pretty fucking graphic and nasty. We actually catch up with the boys. The boys are actually having a conversation about about the virus actually being replicated. Butcher says that Frenchie replicated the virus and that it is ready to go. Hughie says, hold on, maybe they should think. And Butcher reminds Hughie that he told him that once the virus was ready, that's it. We going. Ain't no conversation about it. Ain't no stop, waits, hold on, none of that. We going, we moving. In the shape of doing what you have to do, I feel like this is the best move. And we find out that Starlight kind of agrees with Butcher because she's like not even trying to stop. She's not even taking up for Hughie. She's just like, okay, so let's go. How we do it. So Butcher actually explains to the guys what they're going to do. They're going to put the virus in what looks like a Febreze motion detector scent spray thing, like the things where like you can set them to 10, 15, 20 minutes to blow, or you like can set it to like push out the fragrance whenever you walk by it. So they set it up for like 24 hours and they put the virus in there. What they're going to do is they're going to sit this device on the altar of the Democratic Church of America. They're going to sit it on the Democratic Church of America's altar so that it can spray out. And of course, all of the soups that are in the vicinity will get infected with the virus. They also actually show an ad for the Democratic of America, and they show like Homelander being the savior and people coming home and how he was a rebel. A bunch of propagandish bullshit, honestly. But yes, we do actually see that. It's interesting at best. So walks in with the legend and everybody is like actually pretty surprised to see the legend. He tells Butcher that he lets Butcher know that he's not happy with seeing him. He's had warts he was more happy with seeing. And Butcher, of course, makes a snide comment back. And actually Starlight joins in on the rubbing and she's like, oh, it was the closest place we could find to you. Which I don't know if she was like being like, oh, or she was like being like, shut the fuck up. But at the same time, the legend tells her that she reminds him of a young Ursula Andrews. And honestly, I looked it up and I don't know. Oh, yeah, a little bit. So of course they actually talked to the legend about the reason why they brought him here. And it's to talk about Bombsight. And Legend basically tells them that they aren't going to be able to catch up with Bombsight straightforward. If they want to catch up with Bombsight, they actually have to find Golden Geisha. And that's his girl. And if you want to find him, you have to find her and she will contact him. So we have to find out where Golden Geisha is, which he says she's at a vault retirement home. And they actually have to go get her. So the boys actually plan to go get her. And it's really funny because Kimiko is really excited to actually meet Golden Geisha, which I think is so funny because representation matters, right? No, seriously, representation matters. Let me not put a condescending tone on it. Representation always matters. It is a matter. Okay? At Vault Towers, we actually see Sage talking to the Vice President, Ashley. And Ashley and Sage are having a conversation about what happened last episode where Bashley basically agreed to help Sage. And Ashley says that she didn't agree to shit and Bashley can't agree to shit because she's on the back of her head. Where Sage says, okay, that's fine. We're going to move into plan B. And we find out plan B is to chloroform Ashley and talk to Bashley. Now, here is what I want to say. I want to give this actress all of the fucking, like, everything. I don't know if it was, like, editing, like, they ran her body backwards or anything like that, or if she actually, like, this was just her acting. But her getting up and walking backwards was hilarious, funny, and, like, just something I don't think I've ever seen. A little bit of body horror, which I really, really enjoyed. I thought it was so funny. And, like, her playing these dual roles of Ashley and Bashley being able to take over the body when she's unconscious is something I did not see. Like, honestly, I didn't have Bashley on my bingo card, so all of the things with Bashley are truly, truly funny to me. So, like, it's crazy. But yes, I thought it was crazy. So they actually have a conversation and Sage talks Bashley into reading Soldier Boy's brain. And Sage basically says that Homelander is easy to read. Like, Homelander is pretty freaking easy to read, but Soldier Boy is the wild card, and she can't actually get a good read on Soldier Boy, so she needs Bashley to read Soldier Boy's mind while, you know, that he's in the same room. Eventually, Sage calls Soldier Boy in because Bashley does agree to read his mind, which I don't know. Bashley's down for the shit. Like, I don't know what side she's on or if she's figured out if being on the side is good for her. But honestly, Bashley is down for the shit. The boys actually show up to talk to Golden Geisha with the legend. Kamiko and the legend actually walk in, and we actually see them watching a show called Engine Number 9 with a white man playing a Native American who has superpowers. His name is Sawyer Reed. It was very reminiscent of things that happened in the 70s and the 60s on television, which, like, honestly, I don't know. It's not surprising, but it's, whatever. So, yes, the retirees are watching this at Vought Village. They are watching this show at Vought Village, and we finally see Golden Geisha, who is actually playing bingo, and it looks like she might be losing. The legend and Kamiko actually walk up to her, in which she responds that he has yellow fever, and he says back to her that he has all kinds of fever, baby. Which is funny because, I mean, if you listen to the legend stories, you will know that he does sleep with almost everyone. The legend actually asks her about Bombsight, and Golden Geisha actually gets upset. She's like, why would you come in here and ask me about him? I haven't seen him in years. It's clearly a sore subject. Why in the fuck would you do that? And, like, she kind of gets a little bit upset, where Kamiko feels like, she's trying to, like, she's kind of starstruck a little bit. Honestly, I actually kind of get it, because, like, to see yourself represented in some of your media or media that you enjoy is a very deep feeling. Golden Geisha basically tells Kamiko and the legend that she does not know where Bombsight is, and they actually leave after they are threatened by the other retirees, which I thought was really funny, because they was like, we'll whoop your ass. And I don't know if her real name is Hot Flash or if he was making a fucking menopause joke, but either way it fits. So I don't know how to feel about that, but also her powers are cool. She kind of remind me of Pokemon, I don't know, Charmeleon. Yeah. They realize they're not going to be able to get her to come out, so they go back out and tell Butcher, hey, no, she's not coming out. And while they're talking, like, no, they're not coming. And Butcher's like, why can't you just take her? She's an old woman. And Kamiko's like, okay, they old, but they still have powers. And Butcher is just kind of like, his grumpy Butcher self. But at the same time, we seen Hot Flash. What you want us to do with Hot Flash? She gonna throw fireballs at us. How we gonna block that? Kamiko can come back from it, but she can't block it. And the legend just gonna die. So, I don't know what you want, Butcher. Kamiko, Butcher says he makes a comment that none of them are going to be alive in a week anyway, which I feel like he is very, very confident in this virus, which we're not even sure if Frenchie has, like, actually been able to replicate. Verification. I need verification that he was able to replicate it, honestly. Yes, I need that. But anyway, so he makes that comment, and the legend is not feeling it. He's like, hey, yo, whoa, what are you doing? Because these people are my friends, and with you, everything ends in a fucking bloodbath. And he, Butcher doesn't really care, but also, Kamiko's like, we're not going to kill anybody, and he makes a comment that they're not humans. The Deep actually does do the PSA where he talks about the oil, does exactly what Sage tells him to do, say that it's safe for the environment and that everything will go well and all. And we actually see that Black Noir too is actually watching this ad, and he is getting really, really frustrated, which is funny, but also interesting. What you gonna do, Black Noir? What you gonna do? We actually catch up with Hughie and Annie, and Hughie is using the restroom in the woods, and they lay on a car, and they actually just look up at the clouds, and honestly, you realize that none of these people have been able to just relax and just take a moment for themselves. It's always just been coming. So when Annie says that this is one of her favorite things, Huey, of course, says, "What do you mean? Like, you're saying it like we'll never get to do it again?" Which I feel like he knows deep down that they will probably never get to do it again. But at the same time, he's trying to keep the morale up. But she does say that, she does enjoy doing it and that she sees like freaky shit in the clouds about dicks. And he ensures her that they are not going to die, basically, and that they will be able to watch the clouds. And it's a really sweet moment, which we have to pepper those in throughout the show because we do want to remember that Annie and Huey are together. Like, I know it's a lot going on, but Annie and Huey are still together. Everybody got it? Everybody got it. So back at Vault Tower, we actually see Sage call Soldier Boy in, and she has Ashley hiding. And Sage asks Soldier Boy where they are with the V1, and he says they have only hit dead ends, which we know is not true. They actually have a lead with Bombsight, but he does not actually mention that. Where Sage, she just says okay. She asks him to fill in for Firecracker, and he basically says they can do something to his nut hair. I don't know. It's just so much vulgarity, Soldier Boy, so much vulgarity. Anyway, so it's just he tells her basically no, and he leaves. And of course, she was just trying to get information out of him. So Bashley actually comes out of hiding, and Bashley says that he does actually have a lead, which is Bombsight, and that he fucking hates Bombsight, but also that he is kind of proud of Homelander as his son, but he doesn't want Homelander to know that he's proud of him, which is some weird like man shit. I don't know. I've seen people like actually say this shit, so it's just some weird man shit. She also says that he has like these deep feelings for like Homelander, but like as his son, like he's almost proud. Boys show up to Vault Village and they plan to take Golden Geisha against her will. And they grab a wheelchair and they come into her room. But unfortunately, the wheelchair squeaks and they wake her up. Whereas we see Golden Geisha's powers, which are kind of cool. Like, I guess she can create force fields, but I'm wondering if it's more like a Sue Storm type situation or if it's just like force fields. Because if it's just force fields, that sucks. But if it's like a Sue Storm thing, then I'm cool. I'm with it. But anyway, so she does use her powers against them, which is so funny because it gets Kamiko really excited. She's like, "Ooh, her powers, yay!" But anyway, so Golden Geisha used her powers, but MM is actually really quick on the draw, and he basically gives her a sedative, which makes her powers go away. Which does remind us that these powers are not just like regular, born powers. These are chemicals in your body that they can dull and like sense out, which we actually kind of explore a few different times within this season. Once they dose Golden Geisha, they are able to take her out in the wheelchair, but the senior citizen super friends come to her rescue. They like, "Where you going with our Golden Geisha?" They like, "Hold on, wait a minute." And one of these people's weapon was their boss, the Sawyer dude. The Sawyer Reed dude pull out his tomahawk, and I think we see Hot Flash again, and they ready to whoop some ass. And we actually get a good fight scene where it's Butcher Kamiko against the senior citizens, and eventually they actually get her out. We actually see Soldier Boy and Homelander breaking into what looks like an apartment. I'm guessing they're looking for Bombsight in the V1. In the apartment that they go into, there is a singular computer on the table, and of course Homelander flips the computer up, and we actually hear Homelander and Stormfront doing that weird hand job thing they were doing when she was burnt the fuck up because she was a Nazi cunt. Yeah, so like Soldier Boy actually gets mad, and we actually kind of find out like what their relationship was, and he's like really upset with Homelander because he's like, "She died. You said she died, but she did not apparently murder herself." And he's very like, Soldier Boy is really upset about this, and Homelander is actually trying to explain himself. He also throws Ryan under the bus, which I just feel like is really funny because like, nigga, not only did you whoop his ass, but you can't even take accountability for the fact that she was trying to hold him against his will, and that's why he went crazy on her. Like, that's why she lost her limbs, because she was fucking with him. But of course, Homelander isn't gonna say that, and Soldier Boy kind of loses it, and we actually kind of see that he truly did care about Stormfront with her Nazi ass. Mind you, she was married at the time to Dr. Vought. So honestly, this is just really messy, and he's upset for no fucking reason because she didn't even belong to him. You hear me? So Soldier Boy and Homelander, they actually have a small argument about this where actually Soldier Boy punches Homelander in the face, which is, I don't know, pretty fucking funny to me. I want Homelander to have the most pain inflicted on him, honestly. But then we actually go to the boys' hideout in the HQ where they are talking to Golden Geisha, and they kind of interrogate her, trying to figure out what she knows, while Kimiko just stares at her and just kind of soaks in the bath of what is Golden Geisha. And she's basically telling them like she does not know him. She doesn't have a number for him anymore, and they like go through 23 numbers and none of them work. And so she's just like, I can't get in contact with him. I was not lying. And Frenchie is actually the one who kind of pops it. He's like, hey, yo, look, she wasn't that good of a fucking actress. If she said she wasn't involved or she wasn't in touch with this nigga, I think we should believe her. And that's when we hear Sage's voice. And out of the blue, Sage pops up with at the final hour, he'll turn villain to superhero or villain to hero saga or whatever. And I don't know, because right now it just kind of feels like y'all lost the plot. Like, it just feels like y'all don't know what the fuck y'all doing. And I'm just like, okay, so Sage is here, and she also set up the camera for, Soldier Boy and Homelander to find, which does piss off Homelander. And he does call out the fact that it was Sage that left it or set it up or whatever. And he's smart enough to figure that out. But she's there, and she's basically like, I guess Golden Granny basically couldn't give you any of the information you needed. So she's like, I'll give you all the information I have. I just need to basically be protected. And she does kind of tell them about her plan to, read and watch the world basically burn. And they just kind of looking at her like, can we trust this bitch? And the answer is no. She says you can't trust her. They say you can't trust her. Everybody is in agreement that we should not trust Sage. But for some reason, we're going to trust fucking Sage. We actually go to a press conference that the White House is having with Ashley talking about the fucking pipeline bursting. Of course it burst. Of course it fucking burst. And we actually see Ashley taking questions by mind reading. And it's so funny because it's just like a very stupid way to use her fucking powers. But it's also her way of showing that she's a soup and that she has some value to Homelander. So after Ashley announces that the pipeline did burst or there was a malfunction with the pipeline, we actually see the Deep is covered in oil and his gills actually have oil in them, and that's why he's screaming he can't breathe, which I am confused. Does he breathe out of the gills or does he have a lung or lungs? I just need to know because his gills are covered, but he's screaming he can't breathe. So I'm just trying to figure it out. Also, we also see a fish there, and the fish tells him, we know it was you, Kevin. We know it was you. And it's so creepy, but it's funny. I love the fact that the fish life is turning on him because that's literally the only thing that he had that isn't Homelander affiliated, and it's turning on him. The boys actually take Golden Geisha to what looks like a basement or like a parking lot or something. And Sage basically says that Bombsight is going to meet them there. And they ask Sage, how does she know that, or how is she so sure that Bombsight is actually going to show up? And we find out that Sage has sent a picture to Bombsight of them actually holding Golden Geisha hostage. So of course he's going to show the fuck up if he cares about this woman, like they trying to make it seem like he cares about this woman. So Sage sends that picture to Bombsight. We actually wait on Bombsight to show up. Hughie and Annie actually sneak into the Democratic Church of America to actually plant the virus, and they split up, and of course they tell each other to be safe or whatever, but they don't even need to say it or whatever. So while Hughie is hanging the virus in the Febreze motion detector sprayer, we actually see old father show up. And it's funny because he comes in and he's like, I thought somebody had cameras on an endless loop, basically. And so old father talks to Annie, and we find out that Annie and old father actually have a pretty close relationship, as she refers to him as Aaron. And she says that he was actually easier to talk to than Ezekiel because he understood and he was younger. We found out that they actually had a pretty good mentorship relationship, and they have a conversation about Homelander being God and how Annie just is like, how are you able to go along with this? And he gives a lot of bullshit ass reasons, but he does not actually say why he's able to go along with this. Father has seemed to actually have drunken the Kool-Aid, if we're being honest. It seems like he actually has, like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. This is where my beliefs are. That's what it seems like from him. And he seems to be 100% on board. And Annie just honestly can't believe it. She's just like, is this really you? Like, I can't believe this is you. And of course, they get to fighting. And here's my issue with this whole fight. Annie has absolutely shit for Father. Like, he is whooping her ass by just opening his mouth using his sonic scream, and she is like able to do nothing. So like at this point, her being one of the stronger suits, I know it's more so because she's willing to fight, but she is not that strong or a good fighter. Like, she's gotten better at hand-to-hand combat, but as far as like using her powers, she's doing nothing. He is literally like blasting her. Father is whooping her ass. And finally, Hughie comes out and he's like, hey, yo, chill. You do anything else to her, in the next 30 seconds, you'll be dead. I'll drop this fucking virus. Which, yes, Hughie, absolutely. And Father's like, you ain't gonna do that shit because she gonna die too. I know how the virus work. And he's like, nah, she's already had the vaccine. And Father like, ain't no fucking vaccine. But Hughie like, yeah, she's already had it. So try me. I'll drop this bitch. And his bluff game is, all right, Hughie, your bluff game is really coming together, man. You're great. He's great at bluffing. But yeah, so, Hughie like, I will do it. I will drop this shit. And of course, Father, he backs down because he's like, no, I'm not finna die in the next 30 seconds. But of course, they leave and everything. And then we actually catch up with Golden Geisha, Sage, and the rest of the boys. And we see Sage actually send the text message, and they have a conversation about, like, well, actually Sage and MM have a conversation, and MM asks her, like, what the fuck is her idea? And she just said solitude and being alone and eating crunch wraps and all that bullshit she told Ashley. But solitude was always her main focus, even before Homelander came knocking at her door, which I absolutely do believe. I believe that 100%. But also, we hear Bombsight show up. And all we've heard is that this man is a fucking cokehead. But he shows up pretty coherent, and he's like really up fucking set. And of course he is, because of Goldie. Kimiko, and before Bombsight shows up, Kimiko and Golden Geisha actually have a conversation where she tells her, like, what they're after, and she's just like, if I can make him give it to you, I'll make him give it to you, because I never took it. He offered it to me, but I didn't take it. And she basically explains to them that she didn't want to live forever because it wasn't truly like peaceful. It does definitely reflect what Kimiko feels by taking the V1. Like, she's definitely said, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out how I go out, and not, I don't necessarily want to live forever. So we get that parallel between Golden Geisha, Bombsight, and Frenchie and Kimiko, which is really, good storytelling. Like, there's elements of great storytelling within this show, but like, I don't know. We're gonna talk about it. Bombsight does actually show up, and when we see Bombsight, of course, the first thing he does is like try to release Goldie, and everybody is just like, hey, yo, wait, hold on. Wait a minute, goddammit. Of course, Butcher does what Butcher does, and he pulls out a gun and holds it to her head, and he's like, hey, you don't do what we need you to do, and I'm going to blow her fucking brains out. And of course, Bombsight listens because they kidnapped her, so of course he's going to listen. And so Homelander shows up to the boys' HQ, and he actually is looking for the boys, but he does not find them. And of course, he has Legend with him, who basically told him where to go. And they actually have a conversation where Legend basically tells him that every superhero has their day in the sun. And, that, like, he's seen a lot of superheroes and they come and they go. But, it is what it is. It's just how it goes. And he also asks Homelander if Homelander is going to kill him. And Homelander actually thinks about it and says no. And he, like, of course he drops a few more gems and he tells them, Goldie, he tells Homelander that Goldie had a Vaudealert necklace on, of course, and Homelander lets Legend go, and Legend get the fuck on. He fucks off. He gets the fuck on, which I ain't mad at him. Get the fuck up out of there. But of course, Homelander has the crime analytics team search for Goldie's Vault Alert necklace, and they actually find where it is. But back with the boys, Goldie and Bombsight. Bombsight is kind of over the shit, and he's telling them to let her go, and they say no, they need the V1, and he says he didn't bring the V1, and Sage calls him out, and she's like, what's in your fucking pocket if you didn't bring the V1? And he's like, looks down, and she's like, he's so fucking stupid, which he is, but you brought it. And of course, if somebody was asking you to bring something because they needed, they were holding your family or your loved one or someone you care about ransom, you're gonna bring the shit, bruh. It's common sense, honestly. You're going to bring it. So of course he brought the V1, and he asked them, like, what are they going to do with it? And Frenchie says that they're going to destroy it, but he is still holding out hope that Goldie will actually use the V1 to be with him forever. And she's like, I don't want that. I do not want to live forever. And you can tell, like, his heart is broken because she says that, but she does tell him straight up, I don't want to live forever. And he kind of gets upset, but of course he tries to free her, and then he goes after everyone, and Butcher kind of grabs him with his murder dicks, and Butcher kind of grabs him with his murder dicks, and they all kind of, a fight ensues. But when he does actually go after Frenchie and Kamiko, Golden Geisha stops him, and she puts the golden dome around them, so she can use this force field to, like, protect people also. So I'm thinking it is kind of like a Sue Storm situation. But she tells Bombsight, I don't want anyone else to get hurt. It's so funny how parallel Bombsight and Golden Geisha and Kamiko and Frenchie's relationship is actually really, really parallel. So she says she doesn't want anybody else to get hurt, and that he can't keep doing this, and she won't live forever for him. And as he's kind of accepting it, of course Soldier Boy comes, and another fight ensues, and Sage tells the boys to back off because she feels like they're going to destroy each other, because of course we know Soldier Boy hates Bombsight hates Soldier Boy. Everybody from that team hates Soldier Boy and have always hated Soldier Boy. So of course a fight ensues, and she's like, let them handle each other, and they're gonna kill each other. But of course they fight, and Bombsight actually takes Soldier Boy out and flies him up, and kind of, I don't know if he drops him, but they definitely land, and Soldier Boy's like, I hate fucking flying. Like, they kind of fight some more, but Soldier Boy actually has a conversation with Bombsight, which is funny because Soldier Boy is doing a lot more talking in this season than he's done before, other than the, like, smart ass remarks. He's doing a lot more talking, and he tells Bombsight, like, hey, just give me the V1, we'll be cool, we ain't got to deal with each other, we ain't got to never fucking see each other again, and also I can burn the V1 out of your system so you can be with Goldie forever. And Bombsight is like, what? No, you can't. And he's like, no, I really can. And so he's like, okay, I'll give you the V1. So Bombsight gives Soldier Boy the V1, and Soldier Boy burns the original V1 out of Bombsight. Soldier Boy burns the original V1 out of Bombsight's body, and he is mortal again. I guess he's not immortal anymore. And basically, he actually sees his own blood, and he's actually ecstatic that he can see his own blood. But then, after everything is said and done, he does give Soldier Boy the V1. My question is, could the blast, could the V1, I guess, because Soldier Boy doesn't burn out his own V1 with his blast, so I don't think the blast radius kind of matters in this situation. But we actually see Homelander show up. Homelander ascends from the sky like Homelander only can, and he he lands, and Soldier Boy has decided in his heart of hearts that he is going to give Homelander the V1 so he can live forever. Like, Soldier Boy is just having this change of heart all over the fucking place, and he does say that it's because it's what Kara, which is Stormfront, would have wanted, is for him to live forever, because she did believe that he was the perfect specimen. I mean, it's that whole Nazi idealism and the blonde hair, the blue eyes shit. So she would have wanted him to live forever. And so Homelander takes the V1 from Soldier Boy. He opens up a wound on he opens up his wrist so he can put the V1 in there, which is pretty fucking graphic because he uses his laser eyes to do the shit. And then he gives himself the V1, in which everybody, all the boys are watching because they were close, and they're watching and they're like, oh my fucking god. I imagine that Bombsight went back to go get Golden Geisha so they can get the fuck up out of there. But everybody is watching, and as soon as he inserts the fucking V1, like his powers, his powers seem to ramp up immediately, and like he shoots his laser beams to the sky, and it's like every fucking where it's more powerful than it's ever been. And we just cut to Butcher's face, and he's like, "Run!" Like, and I don't know if we've seen Butcher this scared before, like, honestly, and that is where the episode ends. Oh my goodness. Honestly, I don't need to see Vought Rising. I feel like I got everything I needed from Vought Rising. I know I said this on social media, but truly, I feel like I got everything that Vought Rising could tell me from this episode. So no, I don't feel like we need a whole show about this. But I guess. But yes, that is where the episode ends. You guys, you have been being so great to me, honestly, and I want to thank you guys. I know I thank you at the end of every episode, but truthfully, you guys are fucking awesome. Thanks for all the love, the comments, the likes, the shares, the subscriptions. Continue to subscribe, you guys. If I'm new on your timeline, look at my videos. Guys, I know that my head gets cut off in the Fillmore episode. I'm so sorry. I do go back in and like get it before it gets really, really serious. So it's not that bad towards the end. Please watch it all the way through. I'm so sorry, but I did want to make sure that I got out that episode for you guys so that you could see it. And there is another Saturday Morning Heroes episode dropping on next Saturday. Not this Saturday coming up, but next Saturday. It is a weekly show. I'm just behind. I had a lot going on, but we are going to make sure we drop not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And it is Rocket Power. So I hope you guys are ready for that, because I'm ready to bring it to you. And I will holla at y'all guys in the next episode. Bye, heroes.